You're sitting at a bar, nursing a drink when the door swings open. The buzz of conversation, the clinking of glasses, and the low hum of a jukebox fill the air. It's a typical evening, crowded, lively, the usual mix of laughter and casual chatter. But then you see her. She walks in with quiet confidence, her steps measured and deliberate. At first glance, there's nothing too striking about her. She's dressed simply, dark jeans, a black jacket, and an old military-style patch sewn onto her sleeve. Just a patch. But there's something in the way she moves, something steady and purposeful that draws your attention. The others don't seem to notice her at first. They're too wrapped up in their own worlds, in their own conversations. But that changes quickly. Her patch is noticed. A few heads turn. A couple of laughs ripple through the crowd, soft at first, but quickly growing louder. You can tell they're not laughing with her. They're laughing at her. It's hard to ignore. The patch. It's like they've never seen anything like it before, and for some reason it makes them uncomfortable. And instead of ignoring her, like most people would, they start to make jokes. Snickers rise from a few corners, some people whispering to each other, pointing it out as if it's something absurd. You can hear bits of the conversation, words like, "Is that real?" Or "What's she wearing that for?" tossed around with a kind of dismissive tone that tells you they don't take her seriously. You watch, your curiosity piqued. The woman doesn't seem fazed by the attention. In fact, she moves with such composure, it's as though the stares and the laughter are invisible to her. It's clear she's used to it, or at least it looks like it. But still, there's something unsettling about it. No one seems to know what to make of her. You wonder about her. Who is she? What's her story? The patch alone tells you she's seen something most people can't even imagine. But the way she holds herself, so calm, so composed in the face of mockery, tells you that this isn't her first time facing judgment. The mystery of it all pulls you in, but it's the laughter that makes you uneasy. You catch the eye of a man sitting at the bar next to you. He leans in slightly and mutters, "You see that? She's probably one of those ex-military types. Looks like she's still living in the past." His voice is dripping with ridicule, and you can't help but glance back at her, wondering what kind of history she carries with her. You wonder what she's thinking as the laughter around her grows louder. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop your location and local time in the comments. I'm curious to see where everyone is tuning in from. Let's get straight into the story, because this one's about to take a major turn. The laughter intensifies as she walks further into the bar, ignoring the whispered comments, the side glances, and the occasional chuckle. You can see her glance toward a group of young men at a nearby table. They're whispering now, their heads tilted toward each other, eyes darting toward her with barely concealed amusement. One of them makes a snide comment, his voice rising just enough for her to hear. "Guess she missed the memo," he says with a smirk. "We're in a real bar now, not some military rally." His friends burst into laughter, the sound ringing through the room like nails on a chalkboard. You notice her pause for just a moment, her jaw tightening. There's something about that pause, that subtle shift in her expression, that makes you wonder if the words have gotten to her. Maybe it's the way her hand twitches slightly, almost as if she's about to respond, to say something. But then, just as quickly, she regains her composure and moves toward the bar. You watch as she pulls up a seat, slipping onto the stool with a fluid grace that contrasts sharply with the chaos around her. It's like she's in her own world. She orders a drink, her voice calm and steady, not betraying the slightest hint of the tension that's building in the room. The bartender doesn't ask questions, just nods and starts preparing the drink. The man next to you leans in again, his eyes still on her. "I don't know, man. I don't get why she's got to wear that thing. Looks like a badge of shame, if you ask me." He chuckles to himself as though he's delivering some profound truth. His words sting, but she doesn't flinch. She doesn't react. You keep watching her, waiting for her to speak up, waiting for her to fight back. But instead she remains silent. It's almost like she's waiting for something, as though she knows that no matter what she says now, it won't change anything. So she chooses silence, a silence that feels more powerful than any defense could be. And then, as if to punctuate the discomfort in the room, the group of young men at the table stands up, one of them nudging the others toward her. They're clearly deciding they've had enough of her presence, as though they've already decided that her patch, her history, is fair game for ridicule. The bravado in their steps is obvious, but you see it. A flicker of doubt, the slightest hesitation in their movements. Deep down, they know they're stepping into dangerous territory, even if they don't realize it yet. But they're too far gone in their need to prove something to each other. They move toward her. You can hear their footsteps growing louder, their voices brash as they draw closer. "Hey, lady, what's with the patch? You a war hero or something?" One of them calls out with a laugh, trying to get under her skin, trying to provoke a response. And then, just like that, the room falls into a tense silence. The woman at the bar, her back still turned to the group, doesn't flinch. She doesn't look up. She simply lifts her sleeve, as if performing a small deliberate motion that no one expects. It happens in an instant. In one fluid movement, she rolls up her sleeve, revealing the tattoo beneath. The moment she exposes it, the mood in the bar shifts. It's not dramatic at first. There's no gasp or collective intake of breath, but you feel it. The energy in the room has changed. The young men freeze, their confident strides halting. The one who had spoken takes a step back, his face momentarily confused. His friends exchange awkward glances, unsure of how to react. You watch as the woman sits there, her tattoo on full display. It's not just any tattoo. This is something much deeper, something that makes the entire bar fall into an uneasy quiet. There's no need to explain what it means. It's in the ink, in the sharp, bold lines that tell a story the patch could never capture. Her sleeve now fully rolled up, you can see the tattoo completely. A fierce, intricate design, a symbol of something real. The tattoo represents years of service, of sacrifice, of a life that most people couldn't even begin to comprehend. It's the insignia of a military unit, a regiment with a history that few of the people in this room could ever hope to match. It's a tribute, not just to her service, but to the lives she's fought for, the battles she's survived, and the comrades she's lost along the way. You can see the young man's expression shift. The swagger in his step falters. The room, once filled with laughter, is now thick with a new kind of tension. It's like they've been hit with the full weight of her history, the gravity of it sinking in. You realize then that the mocking laughter wasn't just about her patch. It was never about the patch. It was about something else. The patch was just an entry point, a symbol they could dismiss. But the tattoo? The tattoo tells a different story. It's something they can't dismiss. Not anymore. And just as the tension builds, she turns slowly on her stool. The bartender, who's been watching the scene unfold, pauses for a moment. You can feel everyone's eyes now on the woman, waiting, wondering what will happen next. Her face is calm, but there's an undeniable strength in her gaze. The young man who had made the first comment shifts uncomfortably on his feet, his bravado crumbling in the face of what he's just seen. He opens his mouth to say something, but the words don't come, and for a moment, no one speaks. The woman remains quiet. But her presence fills the room. The group of young men takes a collective step back. No one mocks her now, no one dares. The silence lingers, thick and almost suffocating. You can hear the faint clink of glassware from the bar, the distant hum of the jukebox, but nothing else. The room feels like it's holding its breath, waiting for something, anything, to happen. The young men who were so eager to make fun of her moments ago are now frozen in place, their mouths agape, their bodies tense. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to react to the gravity of what just unfolded in front of them. The woman doesn't break the silence. She simply sits there, her hands wrapped around her glass, her eyes steady and unfazed. There's a quiet strength in her demeanor, a calm that contrasts sharply with the energy in the room. You can't help but admire her. She's not rattled by the confrontation. She doesn't need to speak. The tattoo on her arm, the history it represents, does all the talking for her. The young man who had made the first mocking remark finally speaks, his voice quieter now, almost sheepish. "I didn't know. I didn't realize." He stammers, his confidence shattered. His words feel like an attempt at redemption, but they come too late. The damage has already been done. The woman doesn't acknowledge him directly. Instead, she turns her gaze to the rest of the group, her eyes sweeping over them, a silent challenge hanging in the air. Her presence alone is enough to make them reconsider everything they thought they knew. The energy in the room shifts again, this time toward respect, or at least the recognition of something deeper than a simple joke. The young man who had been the most vocal finally looks away, his shoulders slumping. His friends follow suit, avoiding her gaze. It's almost as if they've been humbled by the simple, undeniable truth of the tattoo she revealed. The patch they had laughed at, the symbol they had mocked, suddenly seems insignificant. In comparison, her tattoo represents something much bigger than they can comprehend, a story they'll never fully understand, a sacrifice they'll never be asked to make. The bartender, who had been watching this all unfold with quiet interest, finally speaks up. His voice is low but firm. "You're not just a patch," he says, addressing the woman. "You've earned more than that. You've earned the respect of everyone in this room." He nods toward the group of young men, his tone making it clear that they have no choice but to recognize the gravity of what just happened. The room is still quiet, but now there's a shift in the air. No one is laughing. No one is making fun of her anymore. The woman doesn't respond to the bartender's words. She doesn't need to. The message has already been delivered. Her silence speaks volumes. She's not interested in their approval. She's not interested in anything other than the quiet strength she carries with her. The moment has passed, and she has no need to explain herself. The tattoo does that for her. The history in the ink, the story of her service, is clear. You're left standing there, processing what just happened. It's more than just a moment of confrontation. It's a reminder of something deeper, that we all carry stories with us, stories that often go unnoticed or dismissed. The woman's tattoo was more than just a symbol of her past. It was a symbol of her resilience, her strength, and her courage. And in that brief, powerful moment, she made sure the world knew it. As the tension in the room starts to dissipate, the group of young men seems to retreat into themselves, their laughter gone, replaced by the uncomfortable weight of their own realizations. They don't know what to say now. They don't know how to fix the moment they've just ruined. The woman finishes her drink in one smooth motion and stands up. Her movements are graceful, deliberate. She doesn't look back at anyone as she walks out of the bar, leaving behind the stunned silence that now fills the space. The young men watch her leave, still unsure of what just happened. The bartender gives them a pointed look, his eyes narrowing in quiet disapproval. And you? You're left in the aftermath of it all, watching as the room gradually returns to normal. But it's not the same. You can feel it, the shift in the air, the change in how people are thinking, how they're seeing things differently. The respect in the room is palpable, though it may not be spoken out loud. You wonder how long it will last, whether they will remember her and the lesson she taught them, or if they'll slip back into their old ways. But something tells you that tonight will stay with them. It will stay with you. It's not just about the tattoo, or the patch, or the mockery that was made. It's about the realization that appearances can be deceiving, that we all carry stories with us, and sometimes it takes a single moment to expose the strength and resilience hidden beneath the surface. The bar returns to its usual hum. The jukebox plays a soft tune. The conversations resume, but the laughter, those dismissive, mocking laughs, never quite return. There's an understanding now, unspoken, that everyone in this room has been changed, if only for a moment. They've witnessed something that goes beyond appearances, something that defies the judgments they've been quick to make. You take another sip of your drink, feeling the weight of the moment settle in. You realize that, in the end, this isn't just her victory, it's everyone's. Because everyone in that room was forced to confront their own assumptions, to see the world through a different lens. The woman may have walked out, but her impact lingers, and you can't help but feel a sense of gratitude for witnessing it. The following days are quiet and life seems to return to its normal rhythm, but you can't shake the weight of that moment in the bar. It's like the image of her, so calm, so steady despite the mockery, keeps replaying in your mind. The tattoo, the patch, the shift in the room's energy. You wonder about her. You wonder about the people who mocked her, how their view of her had changed in an instant. How does something like that affect a person? What drives someone to stand tall in the face of ridicule, knowing that they've got a story so much bigger than the judgments of others? You walk into the same bar a few nights later, not expecting much. The usual crowd is there, the noise of chatter, the clink of glass, the same soundtrack as before. But you can't help but notice the difference. There's a subtle shift in the energy. Conversations that were once filled with dismissive comments and playful jabs seem quieter, more respectful. There's a certain tension in the air, but it's not uncomfortable. It's the kind of tension that comes after a hard truth has been spoken, when everyone in the room knows they've learned something important, even if they're not saying it aloud. The young men from the other night aren't in sight. You're not sure if they've been avoiding the bar, or if they simply haven't come back yet. Either way, it's different. The room feels different. The way people interact now is more aware, more guarded. It's as if they've seen something they can't unsee, and it's affecting them in ways they can't yet understand. You sit at the bar, your eyes scanning the room, but your thoughts keep drifting back to her, the woman with the patch, the tattoo, the strength that radiated from her even in the face of mockery. You realize you've never even asked her name. She's become a figure in your mind, a symbol of something that can't be easily explained. You wonder if anyone else in the room feels that way too. The bartender comes over, leaning against the counter, giving you a knowing look. He's been behind the bar long enough to read the room, and it's clear he's seen the same shift in the atmosphere that you have. "You know," he says quietly, "I've seen a lot of people walk in and out of this place, but I've never seen anyone change the energy like she did." His voice is filled with a mix of respect and admiration, and it catches you off guard. I wasn't sure if she'd stick around after what happened, but she left a mark, that's for sure. You nod, unsure of what to say. There's so much you want to know, so many questions that still hang in the air. Who was she really? What was her story? And why did she leave so abruptly, without a word, after everything that happened? "You think they learned their lesson?" you ask, the question hanging between you and the bartender. He shrugs, wiping down the counter. "I think they'll remember it for a while. People like her. They leave an impression, whether they want to or not. But whether it sticks with them long term." He pauses, considering. "That's a different question. Some people, they'll learn. Some won't." You think about that for a moment. You realize that the lesson wasn't just about the woman. It wasn't about the tattoo or the patch. It was about the choices we make in the face of judgment. It was about how quickly we decide to look away from something we don't understand, how easily we dismiss people based on what we see on the surface. And maybe, just maybe, that's what made her stand out. Not just the strength to bear the ridicule, but the wisdom to remain silent, to let her actions speak louder than any defense ever could. The door opens and you glance up. It's not her, but the man who had been sitting at the table with her the other night walks in, alone this time. You can tell by the way he moves that he's no stranger to this place. He walks with purpose, like someone who knows exactly where they're going. He looks around, spots an empty seat, and settles down. You wonder if he knows what happened here. You wonder if he's aware of the ripple effect his companion's actions have caused. He orders a drink, and for a moment, everything feels like it's falling back into the familiar routine. But then, something shifts again. He glances over at you, catching your eye for just a second, and something in his look tells you that he knows what you've been thinking. The bartender follows your gaze, and his lips twitch upward in the smallest of smiles. He's one of the few who actually gets it, he says, almost as if reading your mind. She wasn't just some tough woman with a tattoo. She was someone who had already made peace with the fact that not everyone would understand her. But it didn't matter. It was enough for her to know who she was, and when the time came to reveal that strength, she did it without hesitation. You don't respond right away. The weight of his words settles in your chest. You think about all the times in your life when you've been quick to judge, quick to dismiss someone based on how they looked or how they acted. You wonder how many people you've written off without ever knowing their story. The realization is unsettling, but it also brings with it a quiet sense of clarity. The power of a single moment, the power of revealing what we carry inside, can change everything. As the night goes on, you can't help but feel a sense of gratitude for the lessons learned in that bar. It wasn't about her tattoo. It wasn't even about the patch. It was about the way she handled herself in the face of ridicule, the way she chose silence over confrontation, letting her story unfold without speaking a single word. You finish your drink, and for the first time in a long while, you feel a quiet respect for the unknown, for the stories we all carry without ever sharing them. You get up to leave, glancing once more at the empty seat where the woman had sat. Her story, like the tattoo she wore so boldly, will stay with you long after you walk out the door. And you know that every person you meet from now on might carry a story as profound, as powerful as hers. The days following that night at the bar leave you in a kind of reflective haze. You've always been someone who noticed the world around you, but now you can't help but see everything through a new lens. The people you pass on the street, the strangers you encounter, you wonder about their stories. You wonder about the weight they carry, the things they've been through, and the silent strength they might be hiding behind their expressions or their actions. It's strange how one moment, one encounter can change the way you see the world. You start paying attention to things you never used to. The way people speak to one another, the casual judgments that fly under the radar, the quick assumptions we make without ever asking the right questions. And in your quiet moments, you start questioning your own assumptions. How often have I dismissed someone without knowing the truth? And then, the next weekend, you return to the bar. You don't know what you're expecting, but there's a pull to it. Maybe you're hoping for a glimpse of her again, or maybe you just want to know if the dynamic in the room has changed. The atmosphere feels different, though. The usual noise and chatter still fill the space, but there's a sense of awareness in the air now, a recognition that something important has shifted. You find a seat at the bar, and the bartender gives you a quick nod, his face unreadable. He's been there through everything, a quiet witness to the change that's happened in the room. You sit in silence for a while, just observing. You notice how the laughter has softened, how the mocking tone that had been so prevalent the last time you were here is gone. People aren't quite as quick to judge anymore. It's almost like they're aware of something that wasn't there before. And then you see him. The man who had been sitting with her, the one who seemed to know the weight of her story before anyone else did. He's here again, sitting alone at a corner booth this time, a drink in front of him, his hands folded thoughtfully in front of him. He's not alone. But you sense that his thoughts are far away, like he's still back in that moment when the room was silenced by the reveal of her tattoo. You can't help but wonder if he's been thinking about the same thing. The way her tattoo changed everything in an instant. The way the room went from mocking to respectful, with nothing more than the flash of ink on skin. What was it about that tattoo that made people stop? Was it the meaning behind it? Was it the way it symbolized her strength? Or was it simply the realization that we can never fully know someone until we've heard their story? You catch his eye for a brief second, and he gives you a small nod, acknowledging your presence. It's a silent recognition, a shared understanding between the two of you. You wonder if he's thinking the same thing, if he's aware of the ripple effect her story has caused, how it's echoed through the lives of those who witnessed it. The bartender slides a drink in front of you, his voice low but knowing. You've seen what happens when someone doesn't let the world define them, he says, his eyes following the man in the corner. She didn't just show them a tattoo, she showed them who she is, and that's something the world can't ignore. You nod, taking a sip of your drink. The weight of his words settles over you. It's true. She didn't just reveal a tattoo, she revealed a piece of herself that no one could take away, no matter how many jokes they made, no matter how many judgments they passed. And in doing so, she didn't just change the way they saw her, she changed the way they saw the world. The night continues, the music playing softly in the background, the conversations flowing around you. But now, you feel like you're seeing everything with new eyes. You start to notice the way people move through the world, the way they carry their own stories, their own struggles. You wonder how many people are walking around with tattoos that no one sees. How many people are carrying their histories, their battles, their triumphs in silence, simply because the world doesn't know to look. You realize that in a way she's given you a gift of perspective, a reminder that the people we meet, the ones we judge or laugh at, may be carrying more than we'll ever know. It's not just about the tattoo, or the patch, or the symbol they wear on the outside. It's about the story that's woven into every line, every curve, every part of them that they've chosen to keep hidden until the right moment. The night wears on, and the once raucous bar has shifted into something quieter, more contemplative. There's a sense of respect in the air, a collective understanding that maybe, just maybe, we should all be a little more careful with our judgments. Maybe we should take the time to learn someone's story before we decide who they really are. As you leave the bar later that evening, you walk out with a new sense of awareness, a newfound respect for the people around you. The woman with the tattoo, the man who knew her story, the bartender who'd quietly witnessed it all, they've all left an impression on you. And though the world around you may return to normal, you know that you'll never look at it the same way again. Because now, every person you meet has a story, and you're ready to listen. The weeks pass, and life seems to settle back into a normal routine. But the memory of that night still lingers, tucked away in the back of your mind. You start to notice more and more how often we overlook the stories of the people around us, the quiet battles they fight every day. It's something you can't unsee now, the way people wear their pasts, sometimes hidden beneath the surface, just waiting for the right moment to be revealed. That moment, when something as small as a tattoo can shift the way an entire room sees you. One evening, as you walk down the street, you pass a homeless man sitting by the corner, his face weathered, his clothes worn. You've walked by him countless times, barely giving him a second thought. But today something feels different. Maybe it's the memory of that woman's tattoo. Maybe it's just a quiet reminder that there's always more to people than we can see. You pause for a moment, and for the first time you truly see him, not just as a beggar but as a man. His eyes meet yours, and in that brief second you recognize something familiar, a strength, a resilience. You don't stop to ask his story, but you reach into your pocket and hand him the spare change you have. It's not much, but it's enough. Enough to acknowledge that he too has a past, a history, a journey that's led him to where he is now. Maybe he's made mistakes. Maybe he's been through things that no one could imagine. Maybe he's fighting battles that no one will ever know. But for that moment, you recognize him as a person, someone with a story, someone with dignity. You walk away, but the encounter stays with you. The impact of that woman's tattoo and the way she carried herself in the face of ridicule has seeped into every part of your life. It's like the walls you had put up, walls built on assumptions and judgments, have begun to crumble. You see people differently now. You notice the quiet strength in everyone, the courage that often goes unnoticed. A few days later, you find yourself back at the bar, not expecting much. You're just going through the motions, grabbing a drink, letting the hum of the evening settle around you. You sit at the bar, but this time there's no one to mock, no one to judge. You catch a glimpse of the man from before, the one who had been with her, the one who had known her story even when no one else did. He's here again, this time with a friend, laughing easily, a warm conversation filling the space. You notice that he's changed too. There's a subtle shift in the way he moves, the way he interacts with those around him. He seems more grounded, more present, like he's carrying something with him that others don't understand, but that doesn't matter anymore. The bartender comes over and you catch his eye. There's an unspoken understanding between you two, a shared recognition of the shift that has taken place in this bar, in the people who walk through its doors. The once judgmental crowd has softened. The laughter that once rang with mockery now feels lighter, more genuine. It's as though the bar has become a place of quiet reflection, a place where people come to share their stories, not to tear each other down, but to lift each other up. I've been thinking about what happened that night, the bartender says, leaning in, his voice low. Not just about her, but about everything that changed in here. The thing is, we all have our own stories, don't we? We all have things we carry that no one else knows about. And sometimes it takes something small, A tattoo, a patch, a word, to remind us that we're not as different as we think. You nod slowly, understanding exactly what he means. The woman's tattoo, her silence, the way she carried herself, all of it was a reminder of something important. Everyone has a story. As you finish your drink, you watch the crowd around you. People are still laughing, still chatting, but there's an air of respect now. There's an awareness of the fact that we all have hidden depths, parts of ourselves that we choose to show, parts we keep hidden. The judgments are fewer now, and the connection between people feels more genuine. No one is mocking anyone tonight. Instead, they're listening. They're seeing each other. You stand up to leave, the weight of the evening settling over you like a blanket. You don't need to say anything, don't need to make some grand statement. You simply know that things are different. That small encounter, the reveal of a tattoo, has taught you a lesson that will stay with you forever. The people you pass on the street, the ones who stand in the background, the ones who don't fit the mold, they all have stories. They all have lives that are just as complex and rich as yours. As you step outside, the cool night air hits your face, but there's warmth inside you, a warmth that comes from knowing that you've learned to see the world differently. The judgments have softened, the barriers have broken down, and you're left with a quiet understanding of what it means to truly see someone, to recognize their worth, and to respect the stories they carry. Maybe the woman with the tattoo never expected to change a room full of strangers, but in the end, she did. And maybe, just maybe, the small acts of courage, the ones that seem insignificant in the moment, are the ones that end up making the biggest difference. You can't control how others see you, but you can control how you choose to see them. And tonight, that's the lesson that stayed with you. You head home, your mind still processing the layers of everything you've experienced. The night will fade, the stories will blur, but the lesson, the power of understanding and respect, is one you'll carry with you for the rest of your life.